I woke to sound I had been expecting all night, but never wanted to hear. The soft, uneven creak of the bedroom door, the faint rustle of clothes, the subtle scent of perfume that wasn't mine. It was her. She crawled into the bed, eyes half closed, hair mussed from a night she had spent somewhere else, somewhere with him. My heart beat normally controlled, cold, while every instinct screamed otherwise. I didn't flinch. I didn't greet her. I let her slide under the covers, letting the warmth of her body fill the space I had once imagined belonged to trust and love. She let out a small sigh, curling against my side, expecting the familiarity that had comforted her for years. I noticed the way she avoided my eyes, how her lips twitched as if she were rehearsing excuses she might never have to say. That hesitation was all I needed. I had known for weeks that she was drifting, slipping out of my life with a carelessness I would have called shocking a month ago. Now I called it inevitable. I could feel the tension in her muscles, the rigid pull in her shoulders, and I let the silence stretch. She tried once softly. But I didn't respond. I didn't even shift. She froze mid-sentence, the words dying in her throat. It was the first taste of the surprise I had been planning for weeks. She thought she could come back here, think everything could be erased by the act of lying in my bed again, by pretending the night had never happened. She wriggled slightly, trying to find a position that would bring comfort, perhaps even intimacy. I watched her with a cold attachment I had never felt before. She had underestimated me, underestimated the depth of my patience, the precision of my plan. Every move she made, every whisper of breath, revealed the guilt she carried, weighty, suffocating, unshakable. I let her think I was asleep. Her hand brushed against mine lightly, testing the waters, seeking reassurance. I let my fingers remain stiff, unresponsive. She paused, and that pause was a confirmation I needed. She realized something was different, that the man she had once commanded with her charm, her deception, was no longer naive, no longer forgiving. Weeks ago, I had begun preparing. Little details, seemingly harmless, had all led to this moment. The lock on the front door had been silently changed, a subtle but critical warning she had ignored. The key she assumed would grant her freedom now only reminded her of my control. I had observed her for months. The late nights, the messages she hurriedly deleted, the way she laughed too easily at someone else's jokes. And tonight, she would pay for the arrogance of thinking I would stay blind forever. She shifted closer, whispering my name like a spell, hoping perhaps to awaken some warmth, some spark of forgiveness. But I remained still, letting the bed sag with the weight of her body, while the atmosphere thickened with tension. The betrayal was fresh in my mind, vivid, and I made sure it stayed there. Her night with him, the scent lingering in her hair, the way she had slid between his arms, all were catalogued, remembered. Nothing would be forgotten. Her lips moved again, forming half-words, stifled apologies that were swallowed by the fear now evident in her eyes. I felt a cold satisfaction in watching her squirm, realizing that her confidence had been a lie, a shield against the inevitability of truth. Every small movement she made, every glance, revealed the cracks in the story she had built to protect herself from reality. I had left subtle signs around the house. Photographs moved slightly, items displaced, small things she would notice only if she were paying attention. And she did. Her fingers traced the edges of frames she remembered placing a certain way. She stiffened, heart racing, and for the first time that night, she wondered what I knew, what I had seen. I let the moment stretch. Minutes passed like hours as she tried to read my body, my face, the slightest indication that I might be weak, forgiving, willing to accept her presence as if nothing had happened. But I was neither weak nor forgiving. I was exacting, patient, silent, observing, waiting for her to make the first mistake, which she did when she rolled over, a sigh escaping her lips, confessing more than words ever could. The smell of the room, the warmth of her skin, the tension in her voice, all converged into a singular clarity. I would not allow this to continue. My plan had been simple. She would discover it herself, realize the depth of her error, feel the weight of her betrayal, and yet she would find herself powerless to undo it. She had entered my domain confident, perhaps even cocky, and now she would see the consequences of underestimating me. I didn't speak. I let her think the silence was normal, that nothing was wrong. She relaxed slightly, pressing closer, whispering again, and that was when I knew it was time. The cruel surprise would reveal itself. The careful, deliberate signs, the manipulation perception, all leading to a single, undeniable truth she would not escape. Her breathing quickened as she noticed the small changes, the subtle shift in the room, the items she thought familiar rearranged with precision, her personal belongings subtly highlighted as if to draw her attention to what she had ignored. She tried to laugh softly, nervously, a sound that didn't reach my ears but bounced off the walls, meaningless. The fear was now tangible. I could see the flicker in her eyes, the panic, the moment she understood that the man she had taken for granted, the man she had deceived without remorse, was no longer the one she remembered. She realized that the night she had spent away from me, the choices she had made, would not go unpunished, not through anger, not through words, but through a quiet, relentless revelation. I shifted slightly, letting her feel the space between us, the cold absence where warmth once existed. Her body stiffened, instinctively pulling back. The silence, heavy and deliberate, pressed down on her like a physical weight. She tried again, reaching for familiar, for comfort, for the illusion that nothing had changed. But the moment had passed. She was trapped in the consequences of her actions, forced to confront the truth without recourse, without apology. And in that moment, I allowed a small smirk, just enough to hint at the satisfaction of inevitability. She noticed it, and it was enough. Enough to confirm that she had walked into a trap of her own making, a psychological web where she would unravel slowly, painfully, understanding finally that betrayal comes with a price that cannot be undone. She froze, eyes wide, realizing that the man she had underestimated was watching, waiting, and fully aware of everything she had done. Her lips parted, no words forming, no excuses viable. The cruel surprise had begun. The weight of guilt, the horror of discovery, the undeniable evidence of her own choices pressed down upon her. She had crawled into my bed thinking she could reclaim normalcy, but she had only found exposure. I let her sit with it, letting the silence stretch for minutes, the tension thick, unbearable. And I watched as the realization settled in, as the shock slowly morphed into fear, then panic, then regret. Every ounce of her confidence dissolved in that space, leaving only vulnerability, only truth. The night stretched, heavy and unyielding. She had nowhere to hide, nowhere to escape, and nowhere to lie. She was trapped by the evidence of her own actions, by the consequences I had engineered with precision. The cruel surprise was complete. Not through confrontation, not through shouting, not through anger, but through the quiet, devastating knowledge that she could not undo what she had done.